Thank you, Madam Chair. Last September, we had a conversation, and I was educated in a great public school system in my hometown of Jasper, Indiana. We've got issues in education, and I'm a big believer that, and I think I told you, that parents should be the main stakeholder in their own kids' education, and I believe there should be choice along the way. We had an election that transpired in Virginia where that was the key issue. And I asked you then if that was something you'd be comfortable saying. Are the parents the most important part in a kid's education, their own kid's education, K through 12? Have you reconsidered kind of your stance on that?
Senator, for the last over 2 decades of serving as an educator, I've always felt teachers and parents have to work together, and parents are the most influential and most important teachers that our children have. So yes, parents are the most important partner with educators, and they know their children most. So schools are more effective when parent voice is incorporated in every aspect of learning.
Well, I'm glad to see that maybe that's changed a bit.
Never changed, sir.
I think it's the cornerstone of how things work.
Yeah.
Coming to the idea of choice, we had a public school system to where that was almost a moot point that was so good. Not all places have that. Part of what works in Indiana is the money follows the child, not the building, not the district, so to speak. Do you believe in that concept so that we're putting resources to the places that have the kids there? Or do you think it should be maybe the old paradigm that other places work off of, to where you're funding the school itself and not following the child?
I believe the latter. I believe we need to make sure all of our schools are well-resourced so we don't have a system of winners and losers. All schools, and this budget reflects an attempt to make sure that we're addressing inequities so that we don't have schools where students attend and maybe they're not taking advantage of different options that they have. We have to make sure all schools provide all students with high-quality education.
So you do believe in the money following the child?
No,
or not?
no.
Don't.
I believe that we need to fund public schools so that every student that attends a public school can have a high-quality education.
And regardless, though, of what the performance is at that given school, that parents may not be happy about if they don't have other options.
Sir, I believe there has to be an equal part support and accountability, right? So you provide adequate resources, adequate professional learning opportunities, but then there has to be an equivalent amount of oversight and accountability to make sure that those schools are producing. And I understand that in some cases that's not happening. And that's why I'm a big believer in making sure we're disaggregating data to make sure that some subgroups of students are not receiving a poor education. But that's also why in this budget, sir, I put requests for Title I, IDEA, to make sure that those students with additional needs get the support that they need.
So in traveling Indiana, pre-COVID and especially exacerbated by COVID, workforce. Do you think there's enough emphasis being put on career and technical education for the high-demand, high-wage jobs that are mostly out there in Indiana? We got great post-secondary institutions there, but we're starving for a better high school education that's going to give you at least life skills regardless of what you want to do.
Sir, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think we're doing enough. We need to do better. We need to evolve our high schools to make sure that there are better career pathways. In the budget, we propose $200 million for career-connected pathways for that same reason, for students in Indiana to have options when they graduate. They can go to a good, high-paying, high-skilled job because there's a good connection with our workforce partners. They can go to a 2-year school to level up on their skills, or they could go to a 4-year school. But then those skills that they get should be transferable into high-paying jobs in the community that they live. I'm strongly in support of that.
I'm glad to see that that is your point of view, because sadly, when I looked into it, some guidance counselors were stigmatizing that pathway as not being one worthwhile pursuing. Brings me to my final question. The high cost of post-secondary education. $1.7 trillion in debt is the manifestation of what that is about.
Yeah.
We've only got one university president across the country that I think is paying any attention to it. Mitch Daniels at Purdue has held tuition flat, I think, for around 9 years. What are we going to do to address how expensive post-secondary education has gotten, and what do we do to disrupt the system to make it more within reach for those that choose to go that direction?
Thank you, Senator. I couldn't agree with you more. We have to fix that system. We increased the college scorecard requirements. We're meeting with institutions of higher education and saying this has to change. We have an Office of Enforcement at FSA. We recognize that college needs to be a good return on investment, and we're working really hard to fix a system that has led to like a runaway train of costs.
Well, that's good, because to solve the problem, you got to lower the cost, and that begs the question of how we accumulate so much debt in the process. So, thank you.
Thank you.